This episode, we explore the teachings of Osho, a revolutionary spiritual teacher whose wisdom continues to resonate in today's world. We unravel the concept of the echo point and its significance in our personal journeys. Join us as we embark on a spiritual quest that will inspire and challenge our perceptions of life.
First one is, it's all about Osho, of course, right? Our favorite, my favorite.
Your favorite.
It has to be said every time.
Spiritual
teacher Osho. So the guy there. So I got all these clips from the book. And the book is called The Buddha Said. And actually this was a spiritual discourse that Osho gave on a book, which is called The Buddha Said. And this book, I think, if I remember well, was a combination of the Buddhistic teachings, how they were brought to China. So basically there's a lot of Buddhistic teachings, a lot of different like books or scriptures that they passed along after Buddha died. And then when Buddhism came to China, they basically took the good parts from the things and put it together in kind of as I interpret it, like let's say a Bible for Buddhism in China.
Okay.
Probably is super wrong, I'll say right now.
You're gonna get
we're gonna go with
comments.
Yeah, exactly. So I was listening to this audiobook and I made a couple of clippings, and so now I'm going to, as many actually, I don't even know if they're all from the book. So let's see. First one, Osho on discipline. Second one,
discipline.
Second one, knowledge and discipline. It's very related, as I can see. Third one, Osho on life as an echo point.
That I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows?
Interesting.
Osho on belief.
Uh-huh.
Responsibility in life.
Okay.
Reality in mind. Perceiving reality. Labels and knowledge. Thinking and experiencing. Conscious mind and the soul. Anything that stuck out?
The echo.
The echo point. I think it's a nice one.
I have no idea what it means, and I kind of wanna.
Well, let's see what our good friend.
Vichy Catalan.
Our good friend. It's amazing water.
I'm talking about the sparkling water with a hint of salt that you can get in Spain.
You know how much Vichy Catalan I drink? Honestly, I drink at least a bottle a day of a liter, maybe two. So I wish we would have a sponsorship of Vichy Catalan. It would be at least €3.5.
Vichy Catalan, guys.
It's expensive water. Huh?
Vichy Catalan nos gusta.
Exactly.
Barcelona. Okay.
Vale. Here we go. The echo point, right? Let's see if we can play the clip.
Situation of life. Life is an echo point. If you bark like a dog, then the whole valley will echo.
So he's basically saying that I think before this clip started, there was a story that a guy was brought to the top of a mountain and there was a valley beneath, and that functioned as an echo point. An echo point is when you say something and the echo comes back like hello, 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 hello. Hello.
Can you explain that again?
So the echo point is when you say something, it repeats back at you.
Okay. I think I almost have it.
You almost have it. So basically, so it is probably like a metaphor, like an allegory, or however this works. It's a story about a metaphor for life, which he is bringing into a discussion that he wants to bring up. So there's a guy on top of a mountain and
he's barking.
He's barking like a dog. And then what does the echoes do?
They bark back.
Situation of life. Life is an echo point. If you bark like a dog, then the whole valley will echo and it will follow and haunt you. Why not sing a song? He understood the point and he sang a song, and the whole valley sours, echoed. It depends on you. Whatsoever you do with others, in fact you are doing with yourself. Because from everywhere, things will return back 1,000-fold. If you shower flowers on others, flowers will come on you. If you sow thorns in others' paths, the path is going to be yours. We cannot do anything to anybody else without doing it to ourselves in the first place. We can do something to somebody else only if he accepts it. That is not decidedly so. Maybe he is a Buddha, a Jesus, and he simply sits silently. Then the deed falls on our own being.
And that's the clip.
Now I understand.
Do you?
I have
So what do you
one
understand?
understanding.
Exactly. So life is an echo point. He's saying, am I like what I hear him saying is like basically the classical saying is what you give is what you get back in life, right?
Mhm.
And also the last part I think is very interesting where it's yours to give, but it's not always accepted even by the other person, which
Mhm.
means in the first place you do it to yourself. You go through the emotion, you go to maybe you're angry at someone and you go through all this anger inside and like maybe you have thoughts or of wanting to kill or hurt someone and maybe you get really angry and your whole day is ruined and then you express that anger and the other person is like a Buddha or maybe even just, or has a more rational approach and can hear your rage on another level and points out like, hey, but actually it's like this, and then suddenly you see that this person was right, and your whole day, your whole anger, everything you put out, all that resentment and anger was basically, it was only for yourself. So yeah, that's an interesting point, I think, and I was wondering, like in your life, because I've seen you at points in your life where you were very giving and very good energy, and I think that also gave you a lot back as a human being. Like, have you personally experienced the difference in yourself when you have the mindset, or maybe it's not even a mindset, but the behavior that you send out love into that echo point, or you just give a lot, and what happens to your life and what happens in the opposite situation?
To answer your question, yes, I've noticed a huge difference. Since many years now, I've tried to polish what I think about, what I speak, how do I interact with people, how do I come together with people, because as Osho says, it turns into a direct reflection of whatever you give out. If you're being a douchebag all around, or if you're not listening to anybody, that was my main issue going back. I couldn't listen. I was always thinking about something else in my mind while I was listening to the person. And it translates in not real connection in this case, right? If you're not listening to anybody, that other person at one level, subconscious or conscious, will feel that you're not listening to them. And when I switched and I started to actively listening to people, immediately connections, much more truer connections were forged. We came together much quicker.
Yeah.
And in a much more real way. That for me was a huge turning point. Then I read this book called The 4 Agreements, and one of the 4 agreements states that you should be very, very careful on what you say. Because you never know not only how these words are going to affect yourself, but how these words are going to affect the other person. So if I don't want to be told bullshit by anybody else, I honestly believe that I should start by trying to be as good as possible with my own words. Because
what do you see as bullshit? Like what for you is, how would you define that you don't want to be told bullshit by anyone else? Like,
I don't want to be attacked, or I don't know how this word is in English. I don't want to be ridiculed without any reason, like when somebody says something towards me with malice, with malintent, if that's the word, That's what I want to avoid. I don't need that in my life. I love constructive criticism. I love when somebody's trying to help and give me good advice, even if it hurts. But when somebody's acting out of a position of fear or out of a position of anger, I don't want that. And I realized the first thing to not get these reactions from people is if I stop doing it myself. So I try, that's why I say words like fruta madre in Spanish, which means instead of son of a bitch, it would be son of a fruit. You know, it's because you never know. Maybe that other person has been having a terrible day and he just found out that their mother had some big issues, and then you say son of a bitch. That's gonna activate all their insecurities, and it's gonna come back to you from that person with anger and malintent because they felt hurt. They will try to hurt you. And this brings us to the echo thing. Whatever you push out into the world eventually will get back at you one way or the other.
Yes, but also, do you think, I was wondering, like in a direct sense, because yes, it gets back to you, I think. What you put out there comes back to you. I mean, basically, if you're very sharing and caring, and you are good to your friends and your family, and you give a lot of love, then probably that's going to come back to you. I do believe that, and the opposite as well. But in a direct sense, when you were still swearing, let's just say, because I've heard you say mother fluffer, for example, instead of
mother fluffer,
which in the beginning, I was like, man, this guy.
What a pussy.
What an asshole. What a fucking asshole. I'm like, why is he doing this? It seems disingenuous. You know, I also feel like there's strength and liberation in swearing, because it's basically something you shouldn't do. And people who are truly free, they can choose. They can choose to do it. And what I perceived, because it's an interesting point, what I perceived from you is like, why is this guy doing this? It doesn't feel authentic, because it could also, the point that you're making, that you're basically trying to not influence any people in a bad way, could also, if it doesn't come from the right place, it might be disingenuous. You understand what I mean?
It might not be honest.
It might not be honest. You might feel motherfucker, and you might say mother fluffer. So how do you so with this change you've made, like did you it was a conscious decision to stop swearing, I guess, or to not send out this bad energy?
In the case of the swearing, if I have to swear, if I'm really angry, I will swear.
Yeah.
And normally the mother fluffer or the son of the fruit or whatever, it's in a comedic context. It's like, oh, that mother fluffer. And I'm always smiling when I say it. And I just chose to use these alternative words because people are very sensitive. And I've had a lot of backlash from stupid jokes.
But what about yourself?
What do you mean?
If you, in the past, you use the word mother fluffer or motherfucker, or like either or, like each one, what does it do? Does it do anything to your internal state?
I don't think so, because it goes always back to intent. That's what I've learned not so long ago. As long as I don't have any anger behind the words, I can say motherfucker, fuck, penis, cock, whatever. I don't care.
You daredevil, you.
Yeah, penis, cock. Ooh.
This is gonna be cancelled.
Butt cheeks.
Exactly.
You know. But imagine how little used to it I am right now to using swear word, that it was actually difficult for me right now to come up with a few.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds dumb, but still it's not bad.
So my question would be, because the echo thing, as in you send out the right energy, and what you are saying is that a lot of people are sensitive, and if you swear, that will change their energy or their mood, and they will feel less good than before the swearing session. Let's just say
the swearing session. He went on a rampage, a 5-minute rampage, like, you motherfucking ball cock sucking.
But I mean, it's let's just take a step back. Like I don't know. Like so many people are sensitive. I'm sure, but now you've sworn a lot now, Luciano. You've sworn.
Well, I gotta bring it out sometime.
Exactly. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
No, I knew you would take it by.
No. But I mean, my question is, like, I think if I'm really trying to be sensitive to what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
like, do you feel your state has been upped to a slightly more aggressive like state by using these words or not? Like maybe aggressive or more combative, or because I must say, if I would have to say, do I feel a change when you use these words or not? I would say yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think because of all the conditioning we have, because when do you use swear words? When you stub your toe, or you're angry at someone, or something goes wrong, it's always in the negative context, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm wondering, and if you use these new words, nobody has this negative. It's like association with the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
People do not have this negative association with the fruit of the sea, or fruit of the mother.
It normally gets a chuckle.
It gets a chuckle, exactly the opposite. So my question is, because normally, you're not really conscious of how things are affecting your own mood, like the words you choose, if you swear or not. Most people probably would say, as I would say in the past, I don't think it affects me. Like if I'm like motherfucker, tits, balls, cock.
This is just an
asshole.
excuse.
Exactly. I don't think I feel different. And now even I'm like, maybe I feel it's fun to do. You know, it can be a fun thing
Like
as well.
school.
It's like
The
school.
teacher's gonna be like, cock.
Exactly. But now it's also used in a situation where it's very obvious in a laughing matter, like it's not related to like a bad situation. We're having a normal conversation. But in social situations where at least the energy is different, like I would say the word motherfucker, let's say you have a bad day at work and you I don't know, a guy is late and you're telling that story to someone, right? And you have this energy, negative energy, like this motherfucker, right? Is something you could say was late. Then that word, if you say motherfucker in that situation, I think carries both for yourself as for the receiver a very different load, a very different emotional load than if you would say that mother fluffer was late. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Also for yourself. So I'm wondering.
Here's the thing, and I think I know what you're asking. Normally when I say mother fluffer or one of the alternative words, my inner intent, my inner emotion is very nice. It's like, I'm not angry. I don't want to create any drama. I'm just joking around. And I make this very explicit when I say mother fluffer. If I'm really angry, you haven't seen me really angry yet, I think, those go out the window. I will swear and I will communicate my anger very clearly.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, what brings us back to the echo thing. If the guy is on the top of the mountain barking at the valley, he will receive barks back, right? And I think this really applies. Even if you're disguising with beautiful words or whatever, but your inner energy is anger or hate or whatever, you will get back anger and hate from the world, because subconsciously people pick up on your inner state of being, on your inner emotion. So you can polish the outside with whatever you want. You can put those beautiful eyelashes on, you can have the big boobs or the trained body. If you're insecure inside, that's what the world will reflect back at you. If you're angry, exactly the same. The words, I think, it's just the sugar coating.
I get your point, and I think I disagree. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not entirely sure what. I think it could still help, in this sense. When you're really angry, you're gonna swear, because we're human beings. I mean, normally you wouldn't punch someone, but when you're maybe extremely angry, maybe you can punch someone. You know, it can happen. But so I think how it might work is that by using the mother fluffer in situations. Like, it's a fun way to say when you're not angry, you're like, you're, I don't know, like, and I know the context, but you say it in a funny way with friends, and like, you're being a mother fluffer or whatever, haha, and people are like, that's dumb, and it's funny, you know, like, it's just
dumb, it's funny.
exactly. So that's what you do now. Now, basically, in your mind, you've trained yourself to if you have like the option of saying motherfucker or mother fluffer, you're training your mind to say a bit more mother fluffer than motherfucker, because basically you're making a habit out of saying mother fluffer when you actually normally would say motherfucker, even if it's in a comedic context.
Yes.
Right? So a substrate, a subpart of all of the times you use the word motherfucker now are going to be instead mother fluffer. In those situations, first, if you would use the word motherfucker, which has it has a lot of negative associations because you use it all of the time in a negative context as well. In society and movies.
Mother, right? You're accusing somebody of having sex with his mother. I don't want to interrupt you, but
yeah, that's true. So of course, it's not a great thing to say in general. You have all these negative connotations. Now instead, you're going to basically use the word mother fluffer more. So in your brain, it's less habitual to say motherfucker, and it starts becoming more habitual to say mother fluffer.
Correct.
Every time you use mother fluffer, energy is great. It's nice. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good associations instead of bad associations. What I think could happen is, like, out of habit, even when you're maybe a bit annoyed, you may start to use the word mother fluffer, and that might lighten your mood about the situation. Understand? Because you
know what you mean.
You're not. You're using this now newly. You basically created the space in your mind to do motherfucker or mother fluffer, and now maybe slowly more situations. I mean, basically by that energy of mother fluffer, by having that choice, can bring you into a more positive evaluation of even that situation. Maybe that comedic effect, while you normally use mother fluffer, is slowly being carried over into the more serious situations, just like for other people who are sensitive to the word motherfucker, the negative effect is being carried over into the positive sense, right? That's why people are sensitive. So
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
Why? Because to me, feelings are the origin normally for you to be in a certain mood and then have a certain chat with somebody, a certain situation. I feel good, I woke up good, I slept good, so I'm having a social moment with people, and this activates certain channels in my brain where it's included to use the word mother fluffer. Because I feel good, I'm joking, it's a good conversation. When I'm angry, other channels in my brain get activated and other parts of my brain will be used, including the words motherfucker. So to me...
For you saying it's a categorical difference?
I think so.
And I'm saying it's probably more of a sliding scale. Like, it's not black and white, it's more gray. It's all gray.
Always, it's going to be gray.
And also you're programming yourself into the positive. That's my point. Like, I mean, yes, emotions are, you can say, well, I have the negative emotions or the angry emotions and the happy emotions, or however you want to put it. But I think your brain is to a large extent also a habit creating machine.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you basically, okay, this is what my girlfriend does. Blanca, love you. So she, every morning, she wakes up like most people do.
Well,
hopefully.
Well done, Blanca.
Well, she gets up. I think she makes herself a coffee, goes, takes a moment for herself, and then she starts texting like all of her the friends, a lot of people. She texts like 20 people, like, "Hey, good morning. I hope you have a good day," something like this. And she calls her sister, her mother, and her father
every day.
And she sends audio messages to the people who are close. So basically, every day.
How long does it take?
Like half an hour,
wow.
Something like this. Could be 45 minutes, half an hour. So basically, she's sending out all of this positive vibes the whole morning. I mean, it's different than the mother fluffer situation, but also, I mean, by doing this, not only are you creating the echo point, as in you're creating an echo point directly in the other people, because you give so much positive vibes, they will also give you back positive vibes, but you also create the habit of giving good energy to people, of being very nice and friendly and doing that, right? And that will probably change your personality slightly into a more happy, energetic, giving person.
I agree.
So I think my point would be possibly that might go on in your situation as well, because I can imagine it could. Maybe it doesn't.
I don't know, because it's very hard to judge these things objectively.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, and I don't know if you agree with this, that we have different personas according to different situations. There's a work Joshua, there's a boyfriend Joshua, there's a friend Joshua. All of these have slight variations in between them. And I think the same applies for moods. There's a good mood Luciano, happy Luciano, and there's a grumpy Luciano, and there's an angry Luciano. And each of these moods, even if they're not separated by perfect lines, they sometimes are over each other. Each of these moods has access to different tools.
Of course.
And that's what I'm saying. The good mood Luciano, the funny one, the joking one, uses mother fluffer. When shit hits the fan, the mother fluffer, I would never imagine if I had to be angry at a guy, I would be like, you mother fluffer. No.
I understand, but my point, and
maybe you're right though.
Maybe like
this mother fluffer situation is brightening up the rest.
I think it's a nice, I don't never know, like metaphor you used about the different.
You never know, right? Allegory, metaphor, which one is it?
I have no idea. It's at least a way of formulating something, but like the metaphor of having different Lucianos, different personas, right? Let's just say, I mean, the extreme is having a split personality, multiple personality disorder, where you actually have different people. And these situations, it's literally people switching personalities. So then 20% of the time, personality A is in charge. Basically, he has the control over the mouth and the brain, and then he can do things. And then the next day or in an hour, like somebody else is in charge, right? So my point would be, yes, you have the different categories, but let's just say for Blanca, she has different categories as well, like everybody, right? But the more you feed, you nurture the positive Blanca, like what she does every morning, the longer positive Blanca can stay in power, quote unquote, in the brain, and the less negative or angry Blanca will stay in power, because basically you're giving that part of yourself more. You're giving it more love or energy. Like if you're loving, you become a loving person. You become a loving person more often. So in your situation, I was trying to say is that by, let's say the motherfucker is connected to, in general, like a worse part of ourselves than the mother fluffer part, right?
I love an example.
You understand?
Yes, I understand.
So the motherfucker part, the whole societal thing, like every connotation in general, of course, there's also funny connotations, but the most of the associations that motherfucker has is in bad-ish situation. It's annoying. It's not nice. So that's connected to bad Luciano. Let's just say
evil Luciano.
Evil Luciano.
The evil twin.
Exactly. So we have.
He still drinks bitchy.
Exactly. So it's connected to evil Luciano. Let's say evil. Not bad, evil.
Evil.
Evil. So it's connected to evil Luciano. So the moment you start being more conscious of your behaviors that are connected to evil Luciano, that seep over into friendly Luciano, you disempower evil Luciano, because you create more space, you feed, you nurture the loving Luciano, like the Jesus Luciano or whatever, Buddha Luciano.
Luciano the lover.
Luciano
we shall call it evil Luciano and Luciano the lover.
So you feed Luciano the lover more, you know? So that's what I'm trying to say, is that, of course, changing the way you speak is one of them. And I think by swapping out the words, you can create more space for that persona or that part of you, and then the total time or the total space that persona holds in the whole part of that is Luciano might become bigger.
I think you actually convinced me, because I was making the relation to boxing. Boxing helped me out a lot, but not only physically. It's a great physical training, but it taught me discipline. It taught me patience. It taught me meditation. It taught me being there in the moment. And all these things have washed over all other areas of my life.
Yeah.
And we always forget it as humans that we are actually a whole, complete thing. So if you modify something over here, it might color the whole rest. It's like if you put a drop of red paint into a glass of water, yeah, it will color the whole glass of water red. So yeah, you might be right. I don't know in which extent the mother fluffer specifically, but when you work on something and you give more positivity to it, eventually it might color the whole rest.
I mean, I think that's the thing. Of course, the mother fluffer is a small, a very small example. But the I think with most of these things, the way I see things is that there's no equilibrium in life or in your person. Like you're either are, let's say, I mean, deteriorating is a big word, but like you have a virtuous cycle going on or a vicious cycle. So it either you go up or down. You become, I mean, enlightened is not the right word, but you come closer to like a better, more healthy version of yourself, or you come closer to loving Luciano the lover, or
Luciano the
evil
lover, or
Luciano. That's basically, it's either one of the two. There's no equilibrium. So I think that by making these steps, this thing might be negligible in itself.
Negligible?
Negligible. Negligible.
I don't know.
Negligible. I think that's the word.
Thank you.
So this thing might be negligible in itself, but I tend to see everything more in that vicious or virtuous circle construct. So that behavior might add a very minimum amount directly onto like becoming directly the Luciano the lover, but indirectly that might create more space. And it might connect you more to other pathways to become Luciano the lover. For example, by having this good energy now, like people are mother fluffer, it might draw more close the people who are more friendly, open, spiritual, and it will push away people like me in the past who was like, this guy's mother fluffer, what a pussy, right? Which is basically, that's a very that's a sad state of being to be in. Like if that's how you judge, right? If that's your point of judging people, you probably want to surround yourself with the people who are like, yeah, I mean, that's good energy. So that might lead to more and more growth in that sense.
And it actually confirms the echo theory, right? Whenever I keep drawing people towards me that match my energy, that think the mother fluffer thing or whatever is a good thing, great for me. I'm putting something out there, I'm getting back exactly the same. And vice versa, if you're in the downward cycle, you will attract only people that are in the same downward cycle. They will feel identified, etc. But in order to sum this up, I heard this or read this story, super short thing. We all have two wolves inside. A black one,
two wolves.
Wolves, yeah.
And man, you have to show the wolf, of course. Yeah,
two wolves.
You just have one, but most people have two.
Right now I have still only one, but who knows? A black wolf and a white wolf.
Okay.
And how do you know which one grows the most inside of you, right? Black being evil Luciano, white being the lover. And it's the one who you feed the most. It's as easy as that.
And how do you feed the wolf? By good behaviors, by being more conscious? That's
sport, in my case, whatever. Eating healthy, sport, saying mother fluffer instead of motherfucker. Trying not to lie, trying to be honest to people, trying to be the honest, most honest version of myself, etc., etc., etc. All these things are feeding the white wolf. Whatever your heart tells you you should do is basic, and when you respect it, that's when you feed the white wolf. When you overcome your own principles, cross your own principles, when you have malintent, when you're being a mean motherfucker, that's when you're feeding the black wolf. And eventually, one of the two is going to be more overpowering. One of the two is going to lead you. And that's when you become either evil Luciano or Luciano the lover.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing that you mentioned, is in like crossing your own principles. Like basically, what I also see in the echo point metaphor, however the fuck you say it, is that
It's a metaphor.
it's probably a metaphor. So
Just go with it.
I also see that. So let's just give an example. I have a girlfriend. Her name is Blanca. I talk about her all
Do
the
you love
time. I love her so much.
And let me ask you, who's your spiritual favorite teacher?
It's definitely Osho. Thank you for asking me. All right, so this is the thing. Like we have, I think, a very honest relationship. But I mean, that's the point. Like I trust her. That we have an honest relationship. For my part, I'm sure that I am honest. Like there's not even extremely. It's just honest. There's honesty, full honesty. And then she's currently somewhere else. She's in Murcia with her family in Spain.
Okay.
So I tend to lean towards in a relationship that I would like to be in a relationship space where you basically respect the individual to the extent that if they want to be with someone else, like make the sweet, sweet love or have fuck, I don't know, however you want to say it, like or be intimate, cuddle, I don't know, all of the above, then I would like there, I think it's my responsibility as a partner to at least acknowledge that there's a need, and then to see that I deal with, I mean, again, there's rules and ways to go about it, but that it's my responsibility to deal with that, because that's also a part of the person I love. Understand? The sexuality, or maybe the wants or needs or desires to be with other people is also a part of the person I love. So then next step, I was thinking, like, what if she would cheat and not tell me? Because now we're not in an open relationship, right? So now it's just situational. She cheats, she doesn't tell me, and I will never know. Let's just assume this. In the past, that hypothetical situation, that thought experiment, let's just say, has never ended well for me. Like, that would suck, you know, it wouldn't be great. And now...
change your mind on this? Okay.
I have changed it to the degree, and that's also related to the echo point. I wouldn't prefer it, of course, but basically that's what the Buddha, what Osho says in the end with the Buddha, like you can either take, you are the one who is damaging yourself, you are damaging your own principles, right? So
meaning Blanca, if she
cheats and
she's damaging herself.
She is causing the damage to herself, basically. And it's, I mean, I don't, that's none of my, I mean, I don't, of course the consequences are there, but I feel less the need that it would affect me to that extent, because basically, like, it's also something you cannot control, right? Like, whatever other people do, you just like, I'm going to be honest. I assume you're also going to be. But, I mean, whatever she does, the echo is already, I mean, the anger or whatever, it affects you first. Like the example that I gave at the beginning, if you're angry the whole day, but it's you who is suffering, it will be her who is suffering. And the moment that I accept the thing that happened, like the cheating, as my suffering, that's basically my choice to take it in. You understand what I mean?
Yes, but could you, besides the logical standpoint of view, would you not be affected by it?
I, of course, will be affected by it. I'm just saying, let's just say I in the past would have been affected by it just by having the thought experiment. Understand what I mean? And a thought experiment is, of course, being paranoid. As in, you're like, she's away, maybe she's doing something with someone else, and I'm the idiot here, and blah, blah, blah. And then at that moment in time, I would suffer, right? Because...
And would you make decisions basing on these thought experiments? Like, I'll go out and drink my face off.
No, I mean...
flirt with every girl...
That's very reactive. That's very reactive.
As a preemptive
That's an interesting,
payback.
That's interesting that you... I've never had those exact things, but what I in the past, what could have happened is becoming insecure, or maybe calling her, texting her like more. But like I hope I'm moving towards a point where that's less and less. So what I'm saying is, in the past, I would have at least I've had moments being by myself in the house, thinking about these things, just basically, going a bit crazy is a big word, but just not being happy because of some thoughts in my head about the situation. So I don't have that now anymore. It's very minimal. I have it very little bit. And then I realize, like I said, now that basically she's causing the suffering to herself in this degree. And I, at least now, I don't have to, I don't have to take that in. Understand?
Yeah.
If it would happen, I would find out if I would suffer. I mean, of course, because it's kind of fucked up if you have an agreement with which that's it. Like, hey, I'm going to sleep with you, you're going to sleep with me, we're going to be honest. Like the sleeping thing is not, sleeping with someone else is not even the big thing. It's the honesty thing that's important to me. So yes, it would affect me. But as with most things, I think that specific situation, the fear of something is way more disruptive than the actual chance of the situation happening. So in most relationships, in most situations in life, a lot of people are scared of crime or being robbed or of like all the violence you see on television, right? The actual problem is not the possibility of being robbed or your phone being stolen or whatever, like getting into a fight. That probably in life some things happen. The effect of that is way less, in my opinion, than all of the fear and the paranoia and checking if the door is locked and, going outside and, kind of running or feeling uncomfortable. Like, that's the actual pain you're going through. The event in itself, most of the time, thank God, in the society we live in, is not that, or is not worth all of the pain you put yourself through.
Not at all the anxiety.
Exactly. So in this situation, that's what I'm talking about. The echo point thing is that you can see, if you see it like that, at least you can alleviate yourself from all of the unnecessary suffering, and a lot of the unnecessary suffering, all of the thoughts that come before, and then when it happens, you can deal with it. But I'm not saying to any extent that I will respond in a way like, yeah, you fuck someone else and you lied to me about it, and it's still good, it's awesome.
Let's go for coffee.
Exactly. No.
I agree wholeheartedly. The whole anxiety issue in our society creates way more pain than reality does.
Exactly.
And every spiritual teacher, also Osho, I've read, is saying that we are the ones that define if reality should or is causing us pain. There is no actual pain.
Exactly.
There, right? Blanca can do whatever she wants. You will define if it hurts you or not.
That's true. And that if I say motherfucker, then you're the one who will take offense. You cannot give offense, you can only take it. So it's an interesting circle back to the point that using the word mother fluffer, maybe people will be offended by using the words mother fluffer, like there's some people like that maybe that gives more negative energy, but in the end, what I feel with the echo point is that internally, if it makes you feel better, and if you are like, I just want to send out the positive vibes, and that's the reason why you do it, your echo point will become your future. Your loving Luciano will be empowered, and you will, for yourself, just because of your reason to do it, your like the way you're developing will become more the loving Luciano. Even though maybe, let's say, even if 90% of people will be like, fucking hell, what an asshole. The 10% of people, like, you will move in towards the direction of the people who are actually positive and give you good vibes. And also internally, you will have made the choice to go for loving Luciano instead of evil Luciano. And that will also bring you a step closer by creating that reality, both internally.
Let's call him Luciano the lover, please.
Luciano the lover. Does it have a preferred pronoun as well or no? Yeah. They? You can do whatever you want. But basically, my point is like your internal and external reality will both be affected by that decision.
I agree. And also, you cannot, I'm still learning this, but you cannot elicit effects from other people by what you are saying. Meaning, if I were only using Mother Fluffer in order to not step on anybody's toes,
Yeah.
it wouldn't work.
No.
It's the same as...
like me.
Exactly.
Like
People were, what an idiot. Because it's the same when people go like, hello, how's your day going? Oh, it's so great to see you. And it's full of fakeness.
Yeah.
People react as a repellent towards those things.
Yeah.
Right? They're immediately repelled. If a person is actually trying to improve herself and just being happier, and that's why she goes or he goes, hey man, what's up? How's your day? Really tell me about it. I would love to hear about it. That sounds more genuine already. So it always, to me, always comes back to what's your intent.
So what do we say? We have the scoreboard, our scoreboard, Osho versus the people. We are the people in the sense. We even the people.
What is the
like?
people
Is
saying?
Osho like? I want to know. Like, is Osho right?
Yes.
Osho crushed it. It's 1-0. 1 for Osho. Who's keeping score? Like the world, society, man. Society.
1-0 for Osho.
All right. Let's see. Let's try and figure out if the guy has some more things to say, if he's right or wrong, according to these two enlightened individuals. Like we are now judging
That's
Osho. Can you imagine?
Exactly.
Like this guy. We're two Mother Fluffers recording a podcast,
and I painted a Buddha.
and we have two painted Buddhas. So I think that makes us an authority on what is right or wrong.
How about that?
Osho, definitely.
Angry emails, here we come.
Thank you very much. It was an interesting conversation and a lot of fun.
It was indeed. Eyes on Growth is an original podcast produced by Inkululeku Studios, hosted by Joshua Mullendeeks and Luciano Anz. Editing by Sofia Vicente. Thank you for listening and keep an eye out for our upcoming episode.